the same line, you have an ad out about pro-life. And what is your position on the federal government's role in abortion? And what should be legal and what shouldn't be legal? If you make that argument on the drugs, are you making the argument then that the federal government should be out of pro-life, pro-choice?
Sure. That would be the logical conclusion. But there's a little bit, I mean, when the government's so much involved in medicine, you've got to make sure they don't use our money to do abortions. The military, you can have some controls there. But the federal government cannot, I mean, this is the whole reason why Roe versus Wade made such a mess of it. It was a Texas law, they prohibited it. There was Roe versus Wade, they nationalized it. Now, many right-to-life people are saying, what we need is a Supreme Court ruling and amend the Constitution, but they don't accept my bill, which removes the jurisdiction. I would remove the jurisdiction, that's We the People's Act, on these various things, and just say that if the states do something, try to, get the federal government out of it. We don't want the Supreme Court legislating as they did in Roe versus Wade. So I would apply the same rule to that.
So the states would make the decision, and not the federal government.
The state would do it.
Congressman, let's go to Republican politics. This week, Rick Perry said it's good politics to keep the birther issue alive. Now, he's gone back and forth on this, but do you think it's good politics to kind of prod and poke at President Obama over where he was born?
No, I don't think it's good politics. I think it's probably bad politics. But, one thing about that, why didn't anybody ever ask whether his mother was a citizen? She was a citizen. Wouldn't that be an automatic and would make the whole thing moot? No, I don't think it's good politics at all. I never bring the subject up.
Steve?
When I was watching the video of your rollout of the plan to restore America, one of the things that surprised me was you don't call for the abolition of the Fed, at least not right away.
Right.
So who would your Fed chairman be?
Jim Grant, probably.
And what are his main arguments?
He's an Austrian economist. He has experience on Wall Street. He's brilliant. He's a good historian. He'd quit printing money. No, I don't call for the abolishment, but almost all the things that I have done and proposed, like in medicine, I want medical savings accounts, I want a transition, I want freedom of choice schools, just make sure we never make it illegal, that we can't have homeschooling and private schooling, and just legalize competition. In money, the bill that I have is to legalize choice, take off taxes, sales taxes and capital gain tax on money, which is gold and silver, because that is, the Constitution still says gold and silver is legal tender. So, but to close down the Fed tomorrow, even back when I was on the Gold Commission in the early 80s, it was my same position. This is Hayek's position, competing currencies. And this way you don't have to be disruptive and say, we're going to close down the Fed. The financial system is going to close itself down. That's what I fear. That's why I think it's so desperate that we get control of this budget, because every single day we're getting closer to something bigger than we've ever had before.
What would you do to help the Europeans out, especially if you look at what's going on in Greece, that could have terrible repercussions on our economy? It's a global structure. We can't kind of wall ourselves off. So what would Ron Paul do if he was over at the Fed to help Greece out, or would you ignore it?
I'd keep my hands off, because the only thing you can do is print more money. See, it looks like our economy was saved by the bailouts and the Fed creating $15 trillion and sending $5 trillion overseas. Sure, it temporized it, but it's also ushering in the age of inflation, and it's perpetuated
There's
it.
no inflation.
Oh, it's 9% right now. If you use the old CPI, it's 9%. And even our own government admits that it's over 3 today.
It's tiny. Come on.
Talk to this consumer. You go shopping?
Congressman, if you're okay for a couple more questions, I know we're at 7:15. If you're okay, Mans of South Carolina wants to know who your VP pick would be.
I'm going to win the nomination first before I pick him.
Matt Simon would like to know how President Paul would immediately stimulate the economy.
Immediately. Well, since I won.